What's up, everybody? Today I got a quick and easy recipe for you. Not a lot of ingredients, so you should be able to try this one at home, and it's really good. We got some pork chops here. We're going to glaze them in a Guinness glaze today. First thing we need to do is take your pork chops, season them with salt and pepper. Most of the flavor is going to come from the glaze, so salt and pepper is all they need on the actual pork chops to begin with. We'll do both sides of it. All right. Let's get these in the fridge while we make the glaze. To start your glaze off, 1 can of Guinness. I've been letting this sit out for a little while. We kind of want to get it to room temperature. It's not quite at room temperature yet, but that's okay. Reason being, if it's cold, it takes a longer time to start reducing and to cook, so bring the temperature up first. If you're wondering why I'm pouring it into a glass, it's not to drink it. Because Guinness has a lot of head on it, so it foams up a lot. So we're going to let that cascade and settle a bit. There's not even that much of a cascade on it because it's at room temperature. But we definitely don't want to pour it in the pan and have it foaming everywhere. I've done this before without doing this. Do it this way. Pour it in the glass first. Looks alright. Let's get to cooking. Alright, I've got the heat set to about medium right now. We're going to reduce this down just a little bit. So we'll let this come up to temperature. While it comes up to temperature, I'll show you the ingredients we're going to put in it. We're going to put some brown sugar, creamed honey. If you don't have creamed honey, don't worry about it. You can use regular honey, that'll be just fine. Some cayenne pepper for some kick, and some dry mustard. You don't want to put too many different spices in this because it'll overpower the beer flavor. You want it to taste like Guinness. So let's just let this get to temperature. Okay, when you're reducing something, this is what you want it to look like. It should be a nice simmer, shouldn't be out of control, shouldn't be bubbling too much. You're just reducing the level a little bit. We might reduce this by half, it really doesn't matter so much. We're just concentrating the flavors a bit, thickening it up slightly. We're going to start adding our ingredients to it. First thing we're going to do is we're going to add a little kick to it with some cayenne pepper. Let's turn that down a little bit. If you don't want spicy, don't add cayenne pepper. You can opt out of this one. I like mine a little spicy though. Next thing is ground mustard. Don't skip this one. This is an important one. All right, it's looking, see it's almost reduced by about half, so I'm going to turn the heat pretty low here. It's good to get that mustard flavor in there. And I know people are going to ask me, can you use a different beer for this? Yes, you can. I would definitely go with a dark beer though. And it's important when you're working with any type of alcohol, or really any ingredient, if you don't like the taste of something, don't use it. If you don't like the way Guinness tastes, well, don't use it. Use a different beer. Especially when cooking with wines. Don't use a wine you wouldn't drink. Alright. Brown sugar. You can see how exact I'm being on these measurements. You can always add a little bit more beer if you make it a little too thick or if it's a little too sweet. You can always tweak it later. And lastly, we're going to put our creamed honey in. Creamed honey tastes pretty much like honey, but it's a lot thicker. Really good stuff. If you guys haven't tried creamed honey, I would suggest trying to find some. Okay, we're going to let that thicken back up a little bit, let it reduce a little bit more, then we'll taste it. Alright, so it's starting to come to a simmer again. You got to remember, we put honey in there and a lot of brown sugar. You can't walk away from it right here. You got to be able to turn the heat down, you got to be able to pick the pan up off if it starts bubbling. You don't want to burn everything that's in there. So I can hear it starting to jump around, so I pick it up slightly. We're thickening it up, so don't go nowhere when it gets to this point. And you're just going to keep gently stirring it on and off until it gets to the consistency that you want it to be. Then we taste. Alright, we're almost where we want to be with it. I wanted to show you a trick though. When you're stirring something with a spatula that's reducing like this, it will start going crazy when you stir it. So you don't want to come back at you like this. You see the bubbles? They'll spit back at you. So go forward away from you, and you're not going to splash yourself. If you come back at yourself, it's going to splash back at you. I just wanted to just kind of show you that trick. Anything volatile like this, just kind of move it away from you, and you'll be alright. If it starts splashing too much, you got your heat too high. This seems okay right now. You can always pick it up also and stir, and it'll start settling back down. That's how you control the heat, especially if you're using an open flame. It's just about where we want it to be. It's going to thicken up more as we cool it off too, so we're right about there. Maybe a couple more minutes and we're ready to go. Alright, this is looking nice right here. That is where we want it. It doesn't look too thick right now, but as it cools, it's definitely going to thicken up a bit into more of a syrup consistency. So we're going to go ahead and shut the heat off there, and we'll scoot it to the side. Let it cool, maybe 15 minutes. Alright, so it's been cooling for about 5 minutes right now. It's not quite where we want it as far as thickness. It's going to continue to thicken a little bit as it sits more. This is something you definitely can do the day before and just use the glaze the next day. But this is where we want to taste it. You don't want to taste it when it's simmering. It's like napalm. You will burn your mouth. And besides, the flavors need to settle down a little bit to come together. If you taste it when it's still hot simmering on there, not only will it be too hot to taste, it won't taste correct. The heat will die more as it settles. The sugars will kick in. I know that from experience. So you do want to let it settle a little bit before you taste it. So let's taste it here, see if it needs anything. I think this is good to go. You can taste the beer. It's pretty sweet, and then you got that kick at the end. The mustard gives it a bit of tang too, which is nice. So we're gonna let this settle for just a little bit more, and then we'll cook up the pork chops and glaze them with this. So I got the grill on medium-low. Just gonna wipe it down with a bit of oil. I like to do this when I'm cooking pork chops, especially fish. So we're going to put them on a diagonal to try to get the nice grill marks that you want on them. It's not really necessary since we're going to glaze them, but I like my pork about medium. But when you're glazing it, it's going to be a little bit more done than that, so closer to well done is okay. Just let this go a minute, then we'll turn them. All right, it's been a couple minutes. If they release, go ahead and turn them. This one wants to stick a little bit on us, but I want to turn them as quick as possible because we don't want them to get overdone. Pork chops cook super quick. The moment we flip these is when we're going to start glazing them, by the way. So we'll let them go another minute or two. We'll flip them and start glazing them. All right, so they're releasing. So flip them. And you can see it's thickened up quite nicely. And let those go for another minute. Okay, we're going to give them a quick turn here. Give them a little bit more of this. Then what we're going to do is when we actually flip them, I'm going to turn this side of the grill off. And I'm going to move them to this side. That way I can close the lid and really give them a good glaze on indirect heat. Alright, so I'm turning this side off and I'm going to turn the middle off. Only the left burner is on. So now I move them over here. Because you don't want to cook these too fast. You really don't. But you definitely want the lid closed if you can, so that the glaze really sets up nicely. Okay. Now, we'll close the lid, give it a couple minutes. Okay. Let's glaze them up one more time real quick here before we flip them. And just keep doing this process until they are done to your liking. Alright, so they're almost done here. It takes a while when you're cooking it on an indirect heat side. You don't have to do that. Yeah, they're about done. I'm going to give it one last glaze. It's not going to be as glazed as nicely if you cook them on indirect heat because the heat's not actually hitting them. So, you know, do it the way you want to, but with pork chops I like to cook them a little gentler so that they're a little bit more tender because pork chops can get real tough real quick. A couple more minutes and let's see how these things turned out. Alright, so our pork chops are done. They seem pretty tender even though we did them on the grill. That's the beauty of doing them on indirect heat, though they take a little bit longer. You're not going to get as nice of grill marks, but who cares? It's all about the taste, right? Let's see how these things taste. Yeah, who needs a fork and a knife? So anyway, they taste delicious. Give this one a try. The glaze is really easy to make, doesn't take too long. Do it the day ahead of time, and it'll be a real quick cook for you. Thanks so much, especially to you guys on Odyssey. You guys are awesome. You're growing the channel real quick. Keep it up. Thanks so much, and I will see you guys on the next video.